The Zinthak War fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. 300 warships, each one larger than a city block, hung in the darkness of space like predators waiting to strike. War Prime Krell stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the small blue planet on his viewing screen. His 4 eyes gleamed with satisfaction. "Another primitive world," he said to his second-in-command. "This will be easy." Krell had conquered 47 star systems in his long career. He knew how these things went. The aliens would see his massive fleet, panic and surrender within hours. Sometimes they tried to fight back with their pathetic weapons, but it never made a difference. The Zinthak were the strongest military force in the galaxy. Everyone knew this. "Send the standard surrender message," Krell ordered. "Give them 1 of their hours to respond." The message shot through space at the speed of light. It would take several minutes to reach Earth. Krell settled into his command chair and waited. He was in no hurry. He had done this so many times before. On Earth, it was Tuesday morning in Detroit. Danny Morrison climbed out of his truck at the construction site, his lunchbox in one hand and his hard hat in the other. The sun was just coming up, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. It was going to be a good day, he thought. Maybe a bit hot later, but good. "Hey, Danny," his coworker called from across the site. "You coming to the game tonight?" "Can't," Danny shouted back. "Sophie's got soccer practice." "I promised I'd be there." Danny's daughter was 8 years old and took her soccer very seriously. He wouldn't miss her practice for anything. He put on his hard hat and got to work. There were walls to build and deadlines to meet. Far above Detroit, in the silent darkness of space, Earth's automated defense satellites detected the Zinthak fleet. The satellites had been watching the sky for decades, always alert, always ready. Their artificial intelligence systems analyzed the 300 unknown ships in less than a second. The AI compared the ships to its database. Unknown design. Unknown origin. Possible threat level, low to moderate. The ships were using old-style plasma engines and had basic energy shields. Nothing impressive. Nothing dangerous. The defense network made a decision. Standard automated response, level 2. No need to bother any humans about this. The satellites could handle it. Across the country in Seattle, Lisa Yamamoto was making coffee. The morning rush had started at the cafe where she worked, and people lined up out the door. Everyone wanted their coffee before heading to work. Lisa smiled at each customer, took their orders and made their drinks with practiced ease. "1 vanilla latte," she called out. "Grande cappuccino." 2 espressos. The cafe's lights flickered for just a moment. Lisa barely noticed. Probably just a power surge, she thought. The lights in the city did that sometimes. She went back to making coffee. What Lisa didn't know was that the flicker happened because 3 orbital defense platforms had just redirected massive amounts of power to their weapon systems. High above the Earth, invisible shields grew stronger. Laser batteries came online. Railguns loaded and aimed at the sky. In Geneva, Switzerland, Greg Palmer sat in his office at the United Nations building. He was a liaison officer, which meant he dealt with all the boring paperwork that kept the UN running. Today he had 47 emails to answer, 3 reports to file, and a meeting about climate policy at noon. His computer beeped. A new notification appeared on his screen. Automated orbital defense activity. Routine debris clearance in high orbit. Greg glanced at it and clicked the acknowledged button. Happened all the time. There was a lot of junk floating around up there. Old satellites, pieces of rockets, random space garbage. The defense systems cleaned it up automatically. Nothing to worry about. He went back to his emails. The climate meeting was going to be difficult and he needed to prepare. In space, War Prime Krell was getting impatient. The humans hadn't responded to his surrender message. Fine, they wanted to do this the hard way. He would show them the power of the Zinthak Empire. "All ships," he commanded. "Fire plasma cannons. Target their major cities." The Zinthak fleet opened fire. Hundreds of plasma bolts, each one hot enough to melt steel, streaked toward Earth. These weapons had destroyed the capitals of entire civilizations. They had melted mountains and turned oceans to steam. Krell smiled. The humans would learn. The plasma bolts hit Earth's shields and exploded. Huge bursts of light bloomed in the upper atmosphere, bright as small suns. The automated defense network didn't even register concern. The shields held easily. This level of energy was nothing special. Solar flares were more powerful. In Australia, where it was nighttime, a few people working the late shift looked up at the sky. Pretty lights danced across the stars, green and blue and purple. Wow, one night watchman said to his coworker. Aurora's really active tonight. Yeah, his friend agreed. Beautiful. They watched for a minute, then went back to work. They had no idea they were watching an alien attack being effortlessly stopped by their planet's defenses. On the Zinthak flagship, alarms started blaring. Krell jumped to his feet, staring at his screens in disbelief. What happened? He demanded. Where are the explosions? Where are the fires? Sir, his weapons officer said nervously. The planet has shields. Very strong shields. Our weapons did nothing. Impossible, Krell roared. No one has shields that strong. Fire again. Use everything. The Zinthak fleet fired again and again. Every weapon they had, every plasma cannon and energy beam and missile, all of it aimed at the small blue planet. The weapons hit the shields and vanished in bursts of light. On Earth, people went about their day. They worked and ate lunch and went to school and complained about traffic. In Houston, a meteorologist named Amy Chen was preparing the evening weather report. She noticed some unusual readings in her data. Huh, she said to herself. The ionosphere is really active today. Might get some nice meteor showers tonight. She added a note to her weather report. People always like seeing meteor showers. It would make a nice story for the evening news. Danny Morrison finished his work for the day and drove to his daughter's soccer practice. Sophie ran up to him, her face bright with excitement. Dad, Coach says I'm getting better at penalty kicks. That's great, sweetie, Danny said, hugging her. Show me what you learned. He watched his daughter play soccer as the sun set. Above them, in space invisible to the human eye, the Zinthak fleet was in chaos. Half their ammunition was gone. Their weapons had done nothing, and not a single human had even noticed they existed. War Prime Krell sat in his command chair, his 4 eyes wide with fear. What kind of species was this? What had he attacked? War Prime Krell could not believe what was happening. 6 hours had passed since his fleet arrived at Earth. 6 hours of constant attack. His ships had fired enough weapons to destroy 10 planets, and the humans below hadn't even acknowledged his existence. Try the matter disruptors, he ordered. His voice was tight with frustration and growing fear. Those can't be stopped by shields. The matter disruptor was the Zinthak's most feared weapon. It didn't just destroy things. It erased them from existence, breaking down the very atoms that made up matter. Entire enemy fleets had vanished when hit by these beams. Krell had seen it himself many times, the weapons fired. Beams of purple energy lanced down toward Earth. High above the planet, the automated defense network detected the new threat. The AI systems analyzed the beams in microseconds. Matter disruptor technology, the computers noted. Outdated by about 70 years, but still potentially dangerous if left unchecked. The defense network deployed countermeasures. Clouds of metallic chaff exploded into space, each tiny particle filled with reactive nanites. The nanites were so small that millions of them could fit on the head of a pin. They spread out in a shimmering cloud. When the matter disruptor beams hit the chaff cloud, the nanites went to work. They absorbed the energy, redirected it, broke it down into harmless radiation. The purple beams fizzled and died like candles in the rain. On Earth, in Houston, Amy Chen was getting ready for the evening weather broadcast. She checked her data one more time and frowned slightly. The ionosphere readings were getting weird, more activity than she'd seen in years. Well, she said to the camera with a bright smile. Folks, we might see some prettier than usual meteor showers tonight. The upper atmosphere is putting on quite a show. Great news for anyone who likes stargazing. Now let's talk about the weekend forecast. She moved on to talk about a possible rain shower on Saturday. The meteor information took about 10 seconds of her 5-minute weather report. In Nevada, truck driver Jack Hamilton was hauling a load of furniture across the desert. It was late at night and the road stretched out empty before him. He'd been driving for 6 hours and was looking forward to stopping for coffee soon. Bright flashes lit up the sky ahead of him. White, blue, purple, like someone was setting off fireworks in space. Jack watched for a moment, then shrugged. Must be those Space Force guys doing exercises, he said to himself. Or maybe rocket tests. Something like that. He turned up the radio and kept driving. A good song was playing and he sang along. He had no idea he was watching pieces of alien weapons being destroyed by Earth's defenses. On the Zinthak flagship, Krell was starting to panic. The matter disruptors had failed. Everything had failed. He pulled up the data his sensors had collected about Earth and studied it with desperate intensity. The planet had about 8 billion people. They had only recently developed space travel. Their most powerful weapons were primitive nuclear devices. On paper, they should have been helpless against his fleet. But the reality was completely different. Earth's defenses were perfect. Not good or strong or impressive, perfect. Every single attack had been stopped. Every single weapon had been neutralized. And his sensors showed that the defenses were entirely automated. There were no human soldiers manning the weapons. No pilots and fighters, just machines responding faster than thought. "What are we fighting?" Krell whispered. "Sir," his second-in-command said quietly. "Perhaps we should retreat." "No." Krell slammed his fist on the console. "We are Zinthak. We do not retreat from primitives. Launch the drop pods. We'll land troops on their surface. They can't stop that." It was a desperate move, and Krell knew it. But he had to do something. He couldn't return home in defeat. The Zinthak High Council would strip him of his rank and execute him for cowardice. 300,000 elite Zinthak warriors climbed into their drop pods. These were the best soldiers in the Empire, trained since childhood in the art of war. Each one was strong enough to fight 10 normal soldiers. Their armor could stop bullets. Their weapons could cut through steel. The pods launched from the fleet, thousands of them, streaking toward Earth like falling stars. The automated defense network detected them immediately. The AI systems classified them as unscheduled orbital debris. This happened sometimes. Satellites broke apart. Rockets malfunctioned. Space was full of junk that fell toward Earth. The defense network had a simple solution for falling debris. Laser arrays originally built to clear space junk and protect satellites locked onto the pods. The lasers were not weapons exactly. They were tools. They zapped small pieces of debris to change their orbit, or broke them into smaller pieces that would burn up safely in the atmosphere. Against the drop pods, the lasers were devastating. The pod's armor couldn't handle that much heat. They exploded one after another, turning into clouds of vapor. All 300,000 warriors died without ever seeing the planet they were supposed to invade. It took 90 seconds. On the International Space Station, astronaut Pete Murray was doing his morning exercise routine. He was running on the treadmill, watching the Earth turn slowly below. His crewmate Maya Foster floated by, heading to the kitchen module. "Hey Maya," Pete called out. "Did someone schedule a satellite deployment today? There's a lot of stuff burning up out there." Maya paused and looked out the window. She saw streaks of light in the atmosphere below, dozens of them, bright trails of fire. "Huh," she said. "I don't remember anything on the schedule. Probably just routine maintenance. Want some coffee?" "Yeah, sure," Pete said. He went back to running. Neither of them knew they had just watched 300,000 alien soldiers die. To them, it looked like a busier than normal day for space cleanup. Krell stood on his bridge in silence. His hands shook. His 4 eyes were wide with horror. Half his fleet was gone. More than half his ammunition was spent. Every warrior he sent was dead. "And the humans hadn't even acknowledged that he existed, sir," his communications officer said. "We're receiving a massive data burst from the planet." "Is it a message?" Krell asked. Maybe the humans were finally responding. Maybe they were offering terms of surrender. Or maybe they were threatening him. "No, sir," the officer said. "It's just noise, random electromagnetic signals. Music and videos and text messages. Billions of different transmissions," Krell understood then. The humans weren't sending him a message. This was just their normal daily communication. They talked to each other constantly, sending information back and forth across their planet. And his fleet wasn't important enough to interrupt that conversation. They didn't see him as a threat. They didn't see him as anything at all. "Retreat," Krell said quietly. "All ships retreat to the edge of the solar system. Maximum speed, but sir, the High Council—" "I don't care," Krell shouted. "We're leaving now." "That is an order." The Zinthak fleet turned and ran, their engines burning bright as they fled from the small blue planet. Behind them, the lights of Earth's cities sparkled in the darkness, beautiful and peaceful and completely unconcerned. Morning came to Earth like it always did. The sun rose over cities and farms, over mountains and oceans. People woke up, made breakfast, and got ready for another day. Nobody knew that an alien armada had just retreated in terror from their planet. In Los Angeles, teacher Katie Bennett sat in her car, stuck in traffic. The morning commute was terrible as usual. She looked at her phone and texted her boyfriend. "Still want Italian for dinner tonight?" she typed. Or should we try that new Thai place? Her phone buzzed with his reply. Thai sounds good. Katie smiled and put her phone down. The traffic moved forward a few feet, then stopped again. She sighed and turned up the radio. Just another normal morning in LA. Above her, pieces of alien hull were burning up in the atmosphere. The metal glowed orange and red as it fell, creating thin streaks of light in the blue sky. Katie didn't notice. Nobody noticed. The pieces were too small and too high up to see clearly. At the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., junior analyst Steve Cooper was eating lunch at his desk. He had a turkey sandwich in one hand and a computer mouse in the other. His job was to review the automated defense logs every day and make sure nothing unusual happened. He clicked through the reports, eating his sandwich. Routine satellite maintenance, normal debris clearance, standard shield fluctuations from solar activity. Everything looked fine. Then he saw a notation that made him pause. Unidentified vessels in orbital zone, 327 objects removed by standard protocols. Steve frowned. 327 was a lot. Usually the defense system only cleared out a handful of debris pieces per day. He clicked for more details. The report said the objects were ships of unknown design. They had tried to attack Earth with various weapons. The automated defenses had classified them as low-level threats and removed them. Total time elapsed, 6 hours and 42 minutes. Steve read it twice. Then he checked a box marking the report as reviewed and filed, and took another bite of his sandwich. The system said low-level threat. The system was usually right. If it had been serious, the alarms would have gone off. Human officers would have been notified. But everything had been handled automatically. Just another day, he thought. He finished his sandwich and moved on to the next report. In Iowa, farmer Luke Patterson was working on his tractor. The big machine had been acting funny all morning, so he'd pulled it into the barn to check it out. He expected to find a loose wire or maybe a bad sensor. Instead, he found that the tractor's computer had updated itself. Luke didn't remember authorizing an update. He checked the system and saw that the new software had downloaded overnight from somewhere. The source file just said unknown. Huh, Luke said. He started the tractor to test it. The engine roared to life smoothly. The controls felt more responsive. The GPS display showed a more detailed map than before. Everything worked better than it had yesterday. Luke shrugged. Maybe the manufacturer pushed out an automatic update, whatever. The tractor worked great now. He drove it out to his cornfield, ready for another day of work. What Luke didn't know was that his tractor's computer had accidentally intercepted some data from the Zinthak fleet. The Zinthak navigation systems had broadcast their information on frequencies that Earth's electronics could receive. Luke's tractor, his smartphone, and millions of other devices across the planet had absorbed fragments of alien technology without anyone noticing. The devices couldn't understand most of it, but they could use some of it. Luke's tractor was now 0.3% more fuel efficient because it had learned a better algorithm from an alien starship. In Boston, college student Megan Walsh was supposed to be studying for her physics exam. Instead, she was looking at social media on her phone. Everyone was talking about the meteor shower last night. Did anyone else see the lights? One post asked. Yeah. Super bright. Someone replied. I got a great photo. Another person posted with a picture of streaks of light across the night sky. Megan scrolled through hundreds of similar posts. People from all over the world had seen lights in the sky. Scientists were saying it was an unusually active meteor shower, maybe caused by Earth passing through a dust cloud. Megan took a picture of one of the photos and posted it to her own account. So pretty. Nature is amazing. #night sky, #nofilter. Her phone buzzed with likes and comments. She smiled and finally, reluctantly, went back to studying physics. The exam was tomorrow and she really needed to focus. In space, at the edge of the solar system, War Prime Krell was having the worst day of his life. His fleet was badly damaged. 17 ships were destroyed completely. Another 100 had serious damage. They were limping along slowly, trying to put distance between themselves and Earth. Krell sat in his command chair, staring at the data his sensors had collected. He had been reviewing it for hours, trying to understand what happened. The numbers didn't make sense. Earth's defenses had responded in microseconds. Every attack was countered perfectly. The coordination was flawless. This level of technology should not exist. and yet the humans themselves seemed barely aware of it. The Zinthak sensors had monitored Earth's communications during the entire battle. They had listened to radio and television, watched the internet, tracked emergency broadcasts. Nothing. The humans talked about weather and sports and what to eat for dinner. Not one word about the attack. It was like hitting a giant with a stick and having the giant not even notice. Worse than that. It was like the giant's body automatically swatted away the stick, while the giant's brain was thinking about something else entirely. "Prepare a message for the High Council," Krell said quietly. "Maximum encryption. Mark it urgent." His communications officer nodded and got ready to record. Krell took a deep breath. "This is War Prime Krell. We have failed in our mission. Earth is not a primitive world. They possess automated defenses beyond anything we've encountered. We fired every weapon in our arsenal. We deployed all our warriors. Nothing succeeded. We lost half our fleet and the enemy did not even acknowledge our existence." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "I am requesting immediate authorization to retreat from this system. I am also recommending that Earth be classified as a restricted zone. No Zinthak ship should approach this planet. The humans may appear primitive, but their technology is far beyond our own. I believe they may be the most dangerous species in the galaxy, and I don't think they even know it yet." Krell ended the recording and sent it. The message would take days to reach the Zinthak homeworld. He could only hope the High Council would understand. He had not retreated out of cowardice. He had retreated because staying would have meant the destruction of his entire fleet. The Zinthak ships continued their slow journey away from Earth. Behind them, the small blue planet turned peacefully in space, its people going about their lives with no idea that they had just won a war without fighting. 3 days after the Zinthak attack, someone finally noticed. Colonel Frank Hayes sat in his office at NORAD Space Command, drinking his morning coffee and reading the weekly summary reports. His job was to oversee space defense operations, which mostly meant watching automated systems do their work. It was important work, but usually not very exciting. He scrolled through the report on his tablet, his eyes scanning the numbers. Debris cleared 327 objects. Power usage elevated for 6 hours. Shield activation, level 4. Frank stopped scrolling. He read those numbers again. 327 objects? That was way more than usual. And level 4 shield activation meant the automated systems had detected a serious threat. He set down his coffee and pulled up the detailed logs. His eyes went wide as he read. "Oh my God," he whispered. Lieutenant Carla Martinez walked into his office carrying a stack of folders. "Morning, Colonel. I have those supply requisition forms you wanted to—" "Carla," Frank interrupted. "Look at this." He turned his tablet so she could see the screen. Carla leaned in and read the report. Her mouth fell open. "We destroyed 300 ships," she said, "and when did this happen?" "Tuesday night," Frank said. 3 days ago, and nobody told us?" "The automated systems handled it. Standard debris protocols, apparently." Frank rubbed his face with his hands. "We need to call the president. Right now." Carla nodded and pulled out her phone. Then she paused. "Sir, the president is at a charity event in California. He's giving a speech about education funding." Frank groaned. "What about the Secretary of Defense?" "Vacation in Maine, won't be back until Monday." "Joint Chiefs?" "General Williams is in Germany. Admiral Chen is in Japan. General Rodriguez is—" Okay. Frank held up his hand. "Schedule an emergency meeting. Tuesday next week, best we can do? Get everyone back here. This is bigger than education speeches and vacations." But even as he said it, Frank had to admit the truth. The emergency was already over. Whatever had attacked Earth was gone. The automated systems had won the fight days ago. Having a meeting about it now felt strange, like calling a meeting to discuss a fire that had already been put out. Still, they had to do something. This was first contact with an alien species, sort of, even if the aliens had already left. The news started spreading slowly through the military and government. Officers called each other, sent secure emails, had quiet conversations in hallways. By the end of the day, hundreds of people knew about the attack, but they were all government officials and military personnel. The public still had no idea. On Thursday morning, someone leaked it to the press. Ryan Phillips, anchor for the evening news, got the tip from a source at the Pentagon. He spent the whole day making phone calls, checking facts, and trying to confirm the story. By evening, he was ready. "Good evening," Ryan said, looking into the camera with his most serious expression. "We begin tonight with a remarkable story. Military officials have confirmed that 3 days ago, an unidentified fleet of vessels entered Earth's orbit and was destroyed by our automated space defense systems." He paused for effect. The fleet, which consisted of over 300 ships, was removed by the same systems we use to clear space debris. According to sources, the entire incident lasted approximately 6 hours. Authorities stressed that there was no danger to the public at any time. Ryan kept talking, giving more details, showing graphics of Earth's orbit, interviewing confused military experts. But that was the heart of the story. Aliens had attacked. Earth's robots had destroyed them. Nobody had been in any danger. The story ran for about 8 minutes. Then Ryan moved on to other news. In other news, a dog in Vermont has learned to skateboard. We'll have that story after the break. Within an hour, the internet exploded. Social media filled with posts about the alien attack. Some people were scared. Some were excited. Most were just confused. Everyone had opinions. "This proves aliens are real." One person posted, "Yeah, but they got beaten by our trash cleanup robots," someone replied. "Not very impressive." "Are we sure they were even attacking?" "Maybe they were just lost," another person suggested. In a bar in Austin, Helen Garcia was watching the news on the TV above the counter. She shook her head and laughed as she wiped down the bar. "Aliens," she said to one of her regular customers. "Can you believe it? They come all this way just to get blown up by our satellites." "Kind of anticlimactic," the customer agreed. "You'd think an alien invasion would be more exciting, right?" Helen poured him another beer. "I mean, I'm glad nobody got hurt. But still, aliens attack and we don't even notice. That's gotta be embarrassing for them." In Portland, teenager Chris Murphy was at his favorite comic book store with his friends. They were all talking about the news at once, everyone excited and trying to be heard. "This is so cool," Chris said. "Earth is like a total badass. We beat an alien fleet without even trying." His friend Alex rolled his eyes. "Dude, we didn't do anything. Robots did it. Automatic robots. We weren't even paying attention." "That's what makes it so cool," Chris insisted. "We're so advanced that our garbage collectors can destroy alien warships. How awesome is that?" "I guess," Alex admitted. "But I kind of wanted to see actual space battles. You know, like in the movies. This is like, I don't know. It's weird." Another friend, a girl named Kim, was looking at her phone. "It's already a meme," she said, showing them a picture. The image showed the Earth with sunglasses and the caption, "When you're so tough your spam filter stops alien invasions." They all laughed. Within minutes, they were sharing the meme with all their friends. The story trended on social media for about 6 hours. Then a video of a cat playing piano went viral, and everyone moved on to that instead. By Friday morning, most people had already forgotten about the aliens. It was old news. Life went back to normal. People went to work, went to school, complained about traffic and the weather. But in government offices around the world, people were having serious discussions. What did this mean? Were more aliens coming? Should Earth try to make contact? The problem was nobody knew how to answer those questions. The aliens had left. They hadn't tried to communicate. They had just attacked and then run away. Earth's defenses had worked perfectly, but nobody even understood how those defenses worked. The systems were so complex, so automated, that even the engineers who built them couldn't explain everything they did. Colonel Frank Hayes sat in his office late Friday night, reading reports and drinking cold coffee. He was tired. The last 3 days had been chaos. Meetings and phone calls and more meetings, and through it all one thought kept running through his mind. If Earth could defeat an alien fleet this easily, without anyone even noticing, then how powerful had humanity become? When had they built defenses this good, and why didn't anyone realize it? Frank looked out his window at the night sky. Somewhere out there the aliens were running away, probably terrified. And down here on Earth, people were arguing about cat videos on the internet. It was the strangest situation he'd ever seen, and he had no idea what would happen next. 2 weeks after the attack, the United Nations decided it was time to make official contact with the aliens. The problem was finding someone to do it. This had never happened before. Earth had no ambassador to alien species, no protocol for first contact, no manual to follow. After several meetings and many arguments, they chose Jennifer Blake. She was a diplomat who worked on trade disputes. She had helped negotiate agreements between countries for 15 years. She was calm, professional, and good at finding common ground with difficult people. Also, she was the only diplomat who was actually available. Everyone else was busy with other meetings, trips, or conferences. So I just talked to them, Jennifer asked, sitting in a video conference room at the UN building. Yes, her supervisor said. The military has established a communication link with their fleet. They're still at the edge of the solar system. Just introduce yourself and see what they want. What if they want to attack again? Her supervisor shrugged. Our defense systems will handle it. Just be polite. Jennifer took a deep breath and nodded. A technician turned on the communication system. The screen flickered and showed the interior of an alien ship. A tall creature with 4 eyes and gray skin looked back at her. He looked exhausted and scared. Hello, Jennifer said, trying to sound friendly. My name is Jennifer Blake. I'm a representative of Earth. Welcome to our solar system? War Prime Krell stared at her through the screen. This was the moment he had been dreading. He had expected threats, demands, maybe gloating. But the human woman just looked awkward. You were speaking for your military? Krell asked carefully. Oh no, Jennifer said. I work in trade negotiations. But the government asked me to reach out to you. We wanted to, talk about what happened. Talk about it? Krell's voice rose. Your defenses destroyed half my fleet. Your weapons killed 300,000 of my warriors. And you want to talk about it? Jennifer winced. Yes, about that. I'm really sorry. Our automated systems thought you were space junk. We didn't mean to attack you. It was a misunderstanding. Krell's 4 eyes widened. Space junk? You thought we were garbage? Well, yes, Jennifer checked her notes. You see, we have all these protocols for clearing debris from orbit. Satellites break apart, rockets malfunction, that sort of thing. Our AI systems handle it automatically. They didn't realize you were, people. They just saw unidentified objects entering our space without filing a flight plan. A flight plan? Krell repeated weakly. Right, we have this whole traffic control system now. It's been broadcasting on all frequencies for about 50 years. Did you not receive our approach protocols? Jennifer looked genuinely concerned. You really should have gotten a notification when you entered the solar system. Something like, Welcome to Earth space, please identify yourself and state your purpose. Krell put his head in his hands. His species had spent 1,000 years conquering the galaxy. They were the most feared military force in known space, and Earth had treated them like junk mail that didn't follow the proper format. What about our weapons? He asked quietly. We fired everything we had at your planet. Oh, those. Jennifer nodded sympathetically. Yeah, our shields handle that level of energy pretty routinely. We get worse from solar flares. Look, I'm not trying to be rude, but your technology is kind of old. We had plasma cannons like that about 70 years ago, and matter disruptors haven't been considered threatening in decades. You had plasma cannons 70 years ago? Krell felt dizzy. But your species only just developed spaceflight. For people, sure, Jennifer said. But we've had robots and automated systems for a long time. They keep getting better. Honestly, I don't even understand half of what our defense network does. It's all computer stuff. There was a long silence. Krell tried to process what he was hearing. Earth's defenses were so advanced that even the humans didn't fully understand them. The systems were automated, constantly improving themselves, operating without any human input. It was terrifying. So, Jennifer said, breaking the silence, are you guys okay? Do you need help getting home? We can send repair supplies if you want. And I can give you a navigation beacon so you can safely leave the solar system. You want to help us? Krell couldn't believe it. After we attacked you? Well, yeah, Jennifer said. I mean, it was a misunderstanding. You didn't know about our protocols. We didn't know you were people. Nobody meant for this to happen. The important thing is that we talk now and make sure it doesn't happen again. She pulled up a document on her tablet. I've been working on a draft agreement. Basic stuff. You acknowledge that you entered our space without permission. We acknowledge that our systems may be overreacted a bit. Both sides agree to communicate better in the future. Does that sound okay? Krell looked at her in amazement. The humans had completely destroyed his fleet without even paying attention. They could have demanded anything. Surrender, tribute, territory. Instead, they were offering help and asking him to fill out paperwork. Yes, he said finally. That sound acceptable? Great. Jennifer smiled. I'll send you the forms. Just fill them out and send them back whenever you're ready. Oh, and I'll include the navigation beacon information and a list of where you can get repair supplies. There's a good automated station near Jupiter. It mostly handles our ships, but I think it can work with yours too. They talked for another hour, working out the details. By the end, Krell felt like he had just finished the strangest negotiation of his life. Earth didn't treat him like an enemy or a threat. They treated him like a confused traveler who had gotten lost and accidentally caused a traffic accident. When the communication ended, Jennifer sat back in her chair and sighed. Her supervisor came into the room. "How did it go?" he asked. "Fine, I think," Jennifer said. "They're going to leave peacefully. I offered them some help getting home." "Good work," her supervisor said. "First contact with alien life. Historic moment, I guess," Jennifer said. Honestly, it was a lot like negotiating a trade dispute, just with more confusion. On Earth, life continued as it always had. Danny Morrison went to his daughter's soccer games. Lisa Yamamoto made coffee at her cafe. Luke Patterson harvested his corn, using his mysteriously improved tractor. Katie Bennett taught her students. Jack Hamilton drove his truck across the country. The only real change was that Earth now had a space traffic control department. The job went to Nancy Price, who had spent 30 years managing air traffic for commercial airlines. She approached alien spacecraft with the same cheerful efficiency she had used for passenger planes. "Earth, space control to approaching vessel," she said into her headset. As a small alien scout ship arrived a month later, "Please confirm your transponder code and intended orbit. Welcome to Earth. Please maintain your current heading and altitude. Have a nice day." The alien pilot, who had heard terrifying stories about Earth from other species, was surprised by how friendly the greeting was. He filed his flight plan, got his clearance, and visited Earth without any problems. Word spread across the galaxy. Earth was powerful, yes, incredibly powerful. But they weren't aggressive. They just wanted you to follow the rules and not make a mess. Do that, and they were perfectly friendly. The Zinthak High Council officially classified Earth as a restricted zone. No Zinthak ships were allowed within 10 light-years of the planet. Krell was quietly retired, given a desk job, and told never to speak of his failed invasion. And on Earth, humanity went about their lives, building and creating and improving their technology, not because they wanted to conquer anyone, but because they wanted to make life a little bit easier, a little bit better, one small innovation at a time. They had defended their planet not with warriors, but with the same systems they used to clean up space junk, and they had barely noticed because they were too busy living their lives, loving their families, and trying to make tomorrow better than today. That, more than any weapon, was what made humanity truly powerful.